Should you read Dawnshard by Brandon Sanderson? The short answer is no, you shouldn't read this unless you're a Stormlight super fan. I don't think there's anything super significant in this book. I haven't read Rhythm of War yet, but I cannot imagine anything critical that can't be explained in a couple of paragraphs. I'm sure if there's any tie-in, Brandon Sanderson can find a couple of pages in 400,000 words to fill you in. Having said that, there is some important lore at the end of the book, which might have some significance for the distant future of the Cosmere. So you're basically reading around 60,000 words for the last 6,000 words or so. I got a bit frustrated while reading Oathbringer because of the same reason. It felt like the whole book was about the payoff, which is contrary to the first principle of the Knights Radiant, journey before destination. Anyway, I'll make this a spoiler-free review, and then I am planning to make a full spoiler video to let you know everything that happens in Dawnshard, so you can get up to speed and you don't have to read it if you don't want to. Let's start with the story of Dawnshard. Risen's pet, Cheery Cheery, whom you might remember from Oathbringer, is sick, and the only way to cure her is possibly to take her to this mythical island. Luckily enough, Navani Colin kinda wanted to send a team to that island too, so they let Risen put together a team and go on exploring. The first 60% of the story is getting to the island, so basically journey on a ship, the crew kinda not accepting Risen's authority and whatnot. The next 30% or so is exploring the island. The last 10% is the Sanderlanche, as is customary. These novellas are supposed to give more time to minor characters. They're like, maybe take Rock with you, but then they're like, meh, he's kinda too major. So they take his daughter Cord. They take Lopen, who is a Knight Radiant now, and his cousin Huyo, who is also Knight Radiant. Now, I like Lopen, but I realize I only like him from a distance. Like, he's funny, but for me, the point of this book would be to get to know the character a bit better. Basically, you see that he is more of a caricature of himself. Like, when I was not in his viewpoint, I was like, oh, okay, he's joking. But when I was in his viewpoint, I was like, oh, is he just delusional? It seems like everything is a joke to him. There's really no opportunity to have a genuine moment. He really has these weird ideas about him that he is super awesome or something. He really does call himself the Lopan. This is possibly because Sanderson wrote this character as a funny character. Brandon Sanderson doesn't do character humor, he writes jokes, so he usually has funny characters and regular characters. So Lopan is just a funny character. There really isn't much more to him. Now, there is a little bit of a payoff about him making jokes at other people's expense. Obviously, Sanderson is very good at writing payoffs, so it's not for nothing, but if you were hoping to see a more genuine side of Lopan, that is not a thing for this book. I don't find Risen to be a particularly interesting character either. After what happened in this book, the expectation could be for her to play a larger role in Cosmere, but I can't quite see her taking the lead. I enjoy seeing her negotiating, so if there's a major storyline that has a lot of negotiating, that might work. Most of the story is quite predictable. It's easy to see who is being deceptive. I think this book would have been much better if it was half the length. It felt a bit too bloated for me. There isn't a lot of significant things that happen, and everything significant happens at the very end. So there's some major development for Lopan and Huyo. We don't really get much Huyo. He's still just the cousin, so don't expect too much. There is minor development for Cord, and there's supposedly major development for Risen, but the book just immediately finds a way to put things into status quo, so basically nothing changes in the world. Like, there's a secret, and there still is a secret, and you don't even quite learn the significance of it. They're like, oh, this is a super important secret. And everyone is like, okay, nice. Anyway, my opinion is feel free to skip this book. I think if these events have any significance, there's going to be a major book that goes over these anyway. It's a little bit like, remember those after credits Thanos scenes where he was collecting the Infinity Stones? Like, if you haven't seen any of those scenes, it would not affect your enjoyment of the Avengers. This book is a little bit like those after credits scenes, but like really bloated. I will possibly make a spoiler video to fill you in on everything remarkable that happened in this book, so don't forget to subscribe if you don't want to miss it, and let me know your thoughts about this in the comments. Have you read it? Are you going to? And hopefully I'll see you in the next video.
Goose breeze. Goose breeze. Scent. Lilac. Lilac. Goose. 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 Goose breeze. Lilac. Goose. 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 Goose breeze. Lilac. Scent. Goose breeze.